G'day guys, welcome to another video on My Blue Heaven. Hope you are well. Before I get started on this, I suppose, topic or issue related to the Carlton Football Club, just want to thank everyone for the feedback from my last video. Really appreciate all that positive feedback. I can be sometimes, I don't know if disrespectful is the right word, but ungrateful for the opportunity to just get to open training sessions. And I don't know, I whinge and whine sometimes that our club are not really opening the doors to us supporters as much as they probably should. But I think living in Melbourne, just being able to get there and put those videos together. And when I get the feedback from a lot of the feedback's from you guys who are interstate or overseas and just being really appreciative. I feel like sometimes I'm a little bit ungrateful with that. So thank you for all that feedback. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to just bring some insight from my point of view of how our players are tracking heading into what promises to be another exciting year for our football club and another really important year for our football club. So thanks for that. I was going to put together I sort of have put it together, I just haven't put it down on video yet, a season prediction video, and I'm going to have a bit of fun with that. I've been rather serious of late, so I'm going to have a bit of fun with the season prediction video. That will go up next week. But I was just doing a little bit of research on our list, just having a look at the players, and then it just sort of occurred to me how many players on our list in fact come out of contract at the end of 2025. So here's the list now, guys. I'll just put it up. And you can see I'll put a lot of effort into creating a really nice and aesthetically beautiful table there for you guys. So these are the out of contract players: Alex Cincotta, Billy Wilson, Brodie Kemp, Cooper Lord, George Hewitt, Harry Charlson, Harry Lemmy, Jack Silvani, Jesse Motlop, Mitch McGovern, Nick Newman, Nick Haynes, Orazio Fantasia, Rob Monaghan, Sam Doherty, Tom DeConning, and Matt Carroll. Now, I don't know whether that's a large amount of players. I don't know if that's unusual. I haven't compared it to previous years. I haven't compared it to other clubs. Obviously, the name that sort of jumps out there is Tom DeConning. There's some other interesting names there as well. But I think there's some potentially looking down the track once the season finished, how many of these players will still be out of contract at the end of the season? I'm not quite sure. I think obviously form will dictate that and development for some of these players. But there's some real interesting names there, and I want to go through each player and just give you my thoughts on each. And obviously Nick Austin, who's the head of our list management, and I see that we've also beefed up our recruiting department with a Glenn Luff, who used to be the head of Champion Data and has spent a couple of years on North Melbourne's books in regards to recruiting. So is that four full-time employees now in the recruiting department of our football club? It might be. So we've really beefed that up. But look, these players, they're all got there's some young, there's some blokes coming into their third and fourth years, some established players there. And you would think, given they're out of contract, that the list changes, or most of the list changes, if there are, the delistings will come from this group. Because you don't necessarily, we don't generally delist contracted players unless they're traded to another club. So let's get stuck into it. I'll start from the top and go with Alex Cincotta, who's 28 years of age. And I think, given that he's out of contract, and given he's coming off a pretty significant surgery on a hip, and the club said, it's 4 to 5 months on the sideline. There hasn't been an update on Alex Cincotta for a period of time now. I did see him at the open training session working away from the group inside, so he didn't actually come outside. So I don't think, given what I've seen, whether he's doing any running. So it's probably the worst time for a 28-year-old who's probably on the fringe to come out of contract. We know the story with Chincotta. 2023 preseason draft, replaced the injured Zach Williams, did tremendously well in his first season, playing 19 games. He needed to play 6 games in his second year to trigger a third year, and he did that. Played some tremendous football in patches last year, particularly as a run-with player who could go forward and hit the scoreboard, but was, under probably peculiar situation, was dropped for the elimination final where Michael Voss sort of swung the axe and brought back a lot of sort of blokes who've been on the sideline for a long time. And he was one that found his way out of the team. I think the positive for Alex Chincotta with his injuries is right the way through his whole football career, he's had this sort of resilience. ACL when he was really young, didn't get that sort of opportunity to be drafted as an 18, 19-year-old, came into the system late, came the hard way, and through COVID as well when it was really difficult, and is a mature body. But, geez, he's behind the 8 ball, isn't he? He's really behind the 8 ball if he can't get on the park, if that hip injury is going to take a bit of time to get back. And there are probably younger players coming through now who are hunting for his position. So I feel like my gut feel with Alex Chincotta, and I hate to say it because I really like him, is that he's probably in a little bit of trouble at 28 years of age. It's a good age, but it's a bad time for him to be out of contract. So at this stage, I would be saying if he was coming into this season fit and firing, he'd be in a really strong position. But at the moment, it's a big watch for Alex Chincotta that he mightn't be at our football club in 2026. Let's start at Billy Wilson, the youngster. He's 19 years of age and coming into his second season. There's no problems here from my end. I mean, most of these youngsters who were drafted in the national draft, and he was taken at pick 34 in 2023. They get their initial 2-year contract. He's yet to play a game, but he played bloody consistent football at VFL level last year in his 13 games and averaged about 20 disposals as a rebounding half back with plenty of speed, plenty of dare. And he's that's been transferred into a really productive sort of off-season for him where he's put on a lot of size and looks to be sort of growing in stature. But, coming into his second season now, it's not that he needs to get a wriggle on, but he would like to be making his debut in the first half of the season, similar to what Jackson Binns did in his second season at the football club. I know he only played that one quarter against Geelong, but he was sort of knocking on the door all along, Jackson Binns. And I'm going to use that similarity here. I think coming into his second season, there's no doubt in my mind that Billy Wilson's got a lot to offer with his speed, with his ball use. So I'm just going to predict round about maybe June, July. Hopefully he's made his debut by then, that he'll sign maybe a 2-year contract for the football club. So that's young Billy Wilson, not much to worry about there. Brody Kemp, interesting one here, guys. 23 years of age, signed a 2-year deal back in 2023. And a lot of these players on this list signed 2-year contracts back in 2023. So they've all sort of quite lumped together. Coming into his 6th season, we know the story. We know the ACL coming in to the AFL system. We know we couldn't really get a gauge on whether he was a key forward or a key back or in time could even go into the midfield. We know the story. He's played 44 games, didn't play a game in his first season, played 2 in his second, 17, then 21. So coming 21 games, okay? And it's sort of been growing gradually. So he's had the injuries, went back, and has now come forward. The big one for me here is the interest that was shown by St Kilda during the latter stages of the trade period, and whether our club did entertain it and they just really couldn't get the deal done. I think that's significant from my book. I know, what Kemp has said, that he wanted to remain at Carlton and see out his contract. But I don't know. I feel like he needs to take another step with his football, and that step is going to have to be forward. I can't see him going back. I don't know. I just can't feel. I don't see he will go back. I really don't. I just think he failed as a defender. Maybe that's a little bit harsh, but he needs to be more consistent and have an impact forward to centre in that role he's going to play as that hybrid or that third tall. I don't think he'd be delisted, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's on the trade table at the end of the year and finds himself at his second AFL club come 2026. That is Brodie Kemp. It's a big year for him, given the new position he's going to play. All right, let's go to Cooper Lord. No problems here either. Signed an 18-month contract when he was picked up in the mid-season draft, which is, I don't know if that's unusual. Sometimes they just get the 6-month contract at the end of the year, but he was one of the players that signed an 18-month contract. And interesting, like the fact that he wasn't drafted, like surprised he wasn't drafted given how well he played in the VFL for North Melbourne. Yeah, and he's sort of come in and looks the good straight away, you know. Like he played the last 2 games against West Coast and St Kilda, but was, like a number of players, was dropped for the elimination final. I think it's going to be not a slow burn. I just don't think he's going to just slot straight into that midfield. I just think they've invested in this kid. Like we took a young player in the mid-season draft. We could have gone a little bit more mature, but I feel like they love his personality. And there's a few older guys, you know, like obviously George Hewitt's, you know, nearly hitting 30-odd. Matthew Kennedy's gone from the football club, and he's probably the next in line to come in and play that inside midfield role. And he's got some leadership qualities as well. Premiership player with the Sandy Dragons. I reckon he'll be similar boat to maybe a Billy Wilson that he'll sign, you know, halfway during the year. If his form's good at VFL level, he'll sign, you know, a 2-year contract extension on what he's got now. So that's young Cooper Lord, who will be 20 very shortly. The veteran now, Georgie Hewitt, his initial 4-year contract, which a lot of people out there criticise when our football club signed him to a 4-year deal. That comes to an end at the end of this year, and he's been a bloody good pickup for us, a really serviceable pickup, you know, as a free agent coming across from the Swans, where he played 120 games for them, and he's played 21, 15, where he had that back concern, 22 and 22, total of 80 games in 4 seasons. That's and played some good football and some consistent football in that time. I mean, he's not a superstar by any stretch of the imagination, but he's very, very reliable, an important player for us. I still feel like he's got. I feel like he's got at least 2 years left in him. I know there was that concerns with the back injury, but there wasn't a reoccurrence for that after he had his operation. The question for me was when he was sort of dropped sort of later in the year and he went back to the VFL against Footscray in the VFL and racked it up at that level, 30-odd disposals, and then came back into the team. Like, was he on the nose with Voss? Does Voss really rate him? Not quite sure what that looks like, but it's an interesting one in regards to, you know, is there anyone straight away this year, like out of those young guys, who are going to demand that inside mid role of Georgie Hewitt? So that's probably the big question here. He's a South Australian. Don't know how happy he is here in Victoria. I feel like it's a sort of 1-year deal now for George Hewitt. I don't feel like he's probably in a position now to be demanding much more than a 1-year deal, 2 years at max. But he's been a bloody good pickup for us. I reckon a bargain pickup, to be brutally honest. So that's Georgie Hewitt. Young Harry Charlson, 18 years of age, 2024 rookie draft. We've sort of likened him in regards to what he looks like, the way he walks, the way he runs to a Chad Warner. That's the sort of swagger he's got. The these rookies, like, they only get the 1 year deal. Like, Matt Carroll only got the 1 year deal. So Harry Charlton comes in on this. It's sort of brutal, isn't it? Like, these rookies, they come in and get a 1 year deal. It leaves them a little bit vulnerable. I mean, it left Matt Carroll vulnerable, particularly if you get a long-term injury. No problems here from what I've seen so far with Harry Charlton. I think he appears to be a pretty decent prospect, with some real leadership and some real spunk about him as well. So I'm fascinated to see how he goes. I feel like he might be even a little bit of a surprise packet, Harry Charlton, as the year progresses. He'll be fine. Let's go to Harry Lemmy. Looms, I think, as a big watch in 2025. 201 centimetre key position player. Been on the list now, coming to his third season. Now, what I mean a big watch, I don't know. Nothing jumps out at me at this stage about Harry Lemmy other than his size and a relatively nice skill set, without anything like, wow, this kid has got something about him. And I think, let's be realistic here. Pick 47 for a key position, 201 centimetre, not a ruckman. He came in to the AFL as a key position forward. That's where he played all his under 18 football in South Australia. So when you pick up one of these big forwards at pick 47, that's quite late in the draft. The best, like the real best ones, like most players, really go a lot early in the draft. And in that draft, the big players that were taken were Cadman at 1, and he's just like, he's looking the goods now. Then there was Jeb Buslinger went to the Western Bulldogs at pick 13. James Van East went to St Kilda at pick 31. Now, he's already been delisted because of his injuries. He's now trialling at the West Coast Eagles. And another one, Hugh Davies at Fremantle, went at pick 33. And then we, and there's a couple of others, but then we pick up Harry Lemmy at pick 47. So it's not like sitting here going, this guy's no good, like it's a failed draft pick. Like, pick 47, it's like you've taken a punt on a big, tall guy. He showed a little bit in the under-18s, but I think the positive from my point of view with Lemmy, as far as his footy goes, he's been fucking durable. For a big guy, he's been really durable in his 2 years. He's played 33 games at VFL level in 2 years, and he's played just about every position. He started as a forward, had to go in the ruck when we had some injuries. Him and Hudson O'Keefe for, I reckon, about 8 or 9 games, just rotated in the ruck. Then went down back, was sort of, I don't know, he stayed there for a little bit. They lost their patience with him down back. Then he started to show something in the latter half of the year, back in his, I suppose, his traditional position as a forward. He's only kicked 3 goals twice at VFL level, and his best performance came late in the year against the strong Brisbane VFL team, mind you, in round 19, when he kicked 3 goals, 2 and 16 touches and 9 marks. He signed only a 1 year extension at exactly the same time that Jackson Binns, same draft, signed a 2 year extension. And both players, Binns had played 1 quarter. So that is interesting in itself, that he only signed 1 year and Jackson Binns signed 2 years. And you would think the key position prospect, you would want to lock away maybe a little bit longer, which suggests to me, I still don't think they're really that sold on Harry Lemmy, although he has had, by all reports, he's had a productive off-season, come back a lot bigger, a lot fitter. He's South Australian, which is interesting. So maybe, if he's not going to get the opportunities here with Harry and Charlie, that he may get courted by one of the South Australian clubs and they might take a punt on him. It's such a wait and see with Harry Lemmy. I hope he gets his opportunities, but I haven't seen enough sort of X factor from him and a wow factor in regards to contested marks. He can lead up on the lead, take a grab, and be that sort of that traditional or old-fashioned lead-up centre forward. But I think in this day and age, you need your 201 centimetre key position forwards to be able to clunk them in a contested situation. So it's purely a wait and see for me on Harry Lemmy. Jack Silvani, 27 years of age, coming into his 10th season after not playing any footy in 2024, and he enters free agency at the completion of 2025 and like a lot of these players, signed that 2-year deal back in 2023. I'm actually fascinated to see if he can really make his mark as a defender, because it felt like before his injury, he was kind of dispensable a little bit under Michael Voss as that third tall, and he was asked to play as the backup ruck, which I don't think is sustainable. Maybe as a pinch every now and then. I honestly think if he shows something as a defender, we could get 4 to 5 really good years out of Jack as a reliable backman. I can't see him going anywhere. I just can't unless he just can't make it as a defender. Like, what are the other options? Put him back forward. I think he's a reasonably bloody reliable footballer, but there's some competition for spots down there. So, yeah, I think he'll be at the club in 2026. I really do. Whether it's and it'll probably be at 27 years of age, it'll probably be a 2-year contract. I think he's a Carlton player for life, but who knows in this day and age, it is pretty brutal. The big one here for me, outside of TDK, is Jesse Motlop. And I think regardless of his form going into 2025, I feel like the Western Australian clubs where he's from, in particular, will come pretty hard for Jesse Motlop. Even if his form's just sort of thereabouts, or if he explodes, that's my gut feel. And maybe they've already made inquiries, and I'm sure they would have through his management. The Western Australian clubs and other clubs have made inquiries about someone like Jesse Motlop. Picked 27 in 2021. Signed a 2-year contract in May of 2023. Played the 40 games. Promising second year. We know that second year, 21 games. Played well in a final against Melbourne where he kicked 2 goals. When we know the story of 2024, I'm not going to go into that. I must admit, I'm kind of worried about keeping him, particularly if there's a squeeze with TDK and clubs sort of sense that. And big offers, longer-term deals come his way. And this could happen. I could see this happen. And I can see this happening even if he hasn't reached anywhere near his full potential at our football club. Clubs will just come for him because they can potentially get him out of the club and see the potential in him moving forward. So that's Jesse Motlop. I'd love for us to lock him away pretty shortly, but I don't know if that's going to happen given the situation with Tom DeConning. Matt Carroll, not going to go into it a lot, 19 years of age, second chance, delisted after 1 year, very unlucky, no games last year because of injury. Interesting that he was a premiership player with teammate Cooper Lord with the Sandy Dragons. Let's see how he goes with a new opportunity. All the reports are that he's flying. Got a beautiful left foot on him, hard-running defender. And this is why it's interesting with these hard-running defenders with the likes of, Alex Chincotta. These blokes can come in, these younger players can come in, and we can see the potential, get them on cheaper contracts, etc., etc. So I'm excited to see what Matthew Carroll can offer as a rookie in 2025. Mitch McGovern, the maligned Mitch McGovern, signed a 2-year deal, another one in 2023. After that initial massive 5-year contract coming across from Adelaide. It's taken a while, it really has. And I don't want to say he's comfortable, I just feel like he's really content with himself and his body and where he is in his football. But I feel like he's finally matured. As a footballer, I don't know him off field, but he's got 3 kids, he's a family man now, and I think he's settled here in Melbourne. I mean, who knows what his plans are for the future, whether he sees himself long-term in the game or he's happy just to spend maybe 1 or 2 more years on an AFL list. I'm not quite sure. And maybe 1-year deals after this one, obviously at the end of 2025. I can't see him signing, any more big deals like 2 or 3-year contracts. It's probably a position for us, hopefully, that there's a bit of show of faith with Mitch McGovern to keep the to keep the band together, because we did invest a lot in him. But yeah, I think he's still very important for us down back. So that will be an interesting one to see what that happens at the end of 2025 as well, when we lock him away. Okay. Nick Newman, I don't want to go into it. Regardless of the injury, I can't see him going anywhere. You know, the club are not going to push him out. They give him every opportunity to get that body right. He's been just such a good servant for us. And if he can get back, he'll get back. He'll get back. You know, he's 32 years of age. He'll be 33 this year. And he'll be 1-year deals at the very most. You just need those types of players around at the football club until they get to a situation. I feel like they want to survive. These players want to survive, you know, and he wants to be part of success. But I don't think he's the type of person that would be selfish in this situation. I think he wants to coach as well and stay involved. So, yeah, I hope he gets back. His body's strong. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. 211 games in 13 seasons Nick Haynes played for the GWS Giants. He'll be 33 very shortly, and he came across and signed a 1-year deal, which says to me that it's his body will be the dictator of any more contracts beyond this year. I just hope like hell that he can hold it together, because I feel like he can be a really good player for us. I really do. But it all comes down to his body. And I think the positive from that is he signed a 1-year deal, and I reckon it will be 1-year deals thereafter, which is good for us. Orazio Fantasia, another one out of contract, 29 years of age. Maybe that 2-year contract, which we were very critical of, or I was, that he signed when coming across from Port Adelaide, given his history of injuries. Maybe it was a godsend. Maybe the club, and they looked at him and go, let's get this guy, let's get his body right. we trust we can get him back, and he'll explode in his second season. Now, I mentioned him in my training report that he is so light-footed at the moment and is just covering the ground, and he looks $1 million, but I'm not getting carried away with that. I'm really not, other than the fact that it's very positive right here, right now. If he is spending a large chunk of his time playing VFL, he won't be at Carlton in 2026. So it's as simple as that. But it has to be 1-year contracts, because he will be turning 30 before the end of the year. I can't see Rob Monaghan being at the club. I've already mentioned that. That's no disrespect to the Irishman. Carlton got him as an international rookie, Category B, from Ireland a couple of years back. Now, these Category B rookies, the ones they get from Ireland, they get a 2-year contract. So Matt Duffy, he gets a 2-year contract. Rob Monaghan gets a 2-year contract. He played 18 games in the VFL. He had double-digit figures 3 times in 18 games, and his best disposals were 13. Now, touches on everything. Obviously, development year. I just can't see him being at the Blues in 2026. I'm not quite sure where that leaves Matt Duffy. I'm not quite sure if they're great mates. I'm not quite sure if they came as a package. I just can't see it. Doherty, 31, same boat as a lot of our other veterans. He signed in 2023, 2-year contract. Other than retirement, maybe that happens. He'll be a Blue for life. I'm certain of that. 1-year deals. Big question for me with someone like Sam Doherty, which younger players are actually going to come up and start to put genuine pressure on these guys and take their spots? That's the big question for me, because he can't go on forever. And I'm going to finish off with Tom De Koning, the big one. And it's pretty simple for me, guys. He says he loves the club. I mean, the rumours of $12 million deals from St Kilda, etc. He previously signed for 2 years back in 2023, and we knew this was going to come. We knew this time was going to come. And he was even rejecting strong interest from rival clubs back then when he was 23 years of age. Is he a superstar of the game yet? No, he's not. Not based on consistency, not based on games played. But when he is on, and he is on for patches, and when he's not injured, he is exceptional. So you can understand the hype, you can understand the money coming his way, coming into his 8th season in the game where we've put so much work into this bloke. My view is simple. And I could only say, and I'm not in that position at all because I've never played the game at that level. But I don't, and I'm a little bit different to a lot of people, and maybe some people view wealth like I view it, but I don't value wealth as much. It's not that I don't want money and I don't want to be comfortable. I just don't value it as much. I actually value happiness more and being content and comfortable, not too comfortable. You don't want to be too comfortable in your environment, but you know what I mean, being comfortable, just happy, and made really good friends and connections. And I just think that overrides it for me. And I cannot think of any other reason that Tom De Koning would leave our football club than money. That's it. Whether I'd be disappointed if he made that decision, it's not up to me, because as I said, everyone is entitled to view wealth in any way that you want. I just don't view it. It doesn't interest me. When I've got this YouTube channel, guys, and I've mentioned this before, I never beg for subscribers. I never want people to pay money for memberships. I just don't. I do this for the love of it. And I know I know I'm using a different analogy for something like this, but what I'm saying is, if I wanted to make a buck out of this YouTube channel, I would just be continually banging on about subscriptions and memberships, and I just don't. So that's just me. I love being sort of happy, connected to people, but I want to be comfortable. And at the end of the day, if he stays at the Carlton Football Club, which I think he will do, I really do, he's going to earn a lot of money at our football club and be very comfortably, but who knows? Anyway, that's 32 minutes of all our players out of contract going into 2025, or at the completion of the 2025. Tell me what you think.